Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Radiate Wellness Podcast as we radiate hope and healing with my new dear friend, Nicky Alan, who has written this book, Me, Myself, and I, the Diary of a Psychic, I believe is the subtitle, isn't it? Hello, Nicky. Welcome so much to this show. It's so nice to be with you.
Oh it's an absolute pleasure, my darling. I'm so excited to be here. Look at your beautiful face with two exciting girls across the pond.
Oh my goodness, you are just such a breath of fresh air. So this book is Me, Myself, and I. It's basically the story of your life and your recent, well, not even that recent, but your chapter with loss, with illness, with losing your career and everything, but then turning to the spirit realm because you are a world-class, world-known psychic medium.
I was before the accident. I basically had everything I could possibly dream for before the accident. I was just about to tour Australia and was thinking about sorting out a route for America. I'd been approached by a channel on Sky to travel around the world and do a program. I had my first book coming out then. I was writing in many mainstream magazines, and I don't know if you know the late Colin Fry. I was touring with him, who did The Sixth Sense, and I just couldn't imagine it getting any better. I was on an absolute roller coaster of complete success and abundance. And when you actually read the book, you'll see that kind of it was like a false prophet, really, because inside I wasn't doing too well. And then the accident took the lot. I ended up homeless. I had no home. My partner at the time stole £65,000, which would be about $80,000 from me because he didn't want to be with me in the state I was. Obviously, without having my career, I lost lots of people who I thought were my friends. And I went into a complete dark abyss of depression. And what I'd like to make clear is I understand over in the States, ME is CFS, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. Mm-hmm. But I thought the title went really well, like Me, Myself and I, because I actually was on my own for 5 years. So I can't change it. CFS, Myself and I doesn't make really good sense, does it?
It doesn't make sense, does it? So CFS, full disclosure, and also you've got fibromyalgia.
Yes, I have both spectrums. So fibromyalgia is more, to be quite honest, they're one of the same thing. A lot of the symptoms interlock, and there's over 200 symptoms with each condition. But primarily, try and get that out, primarily, CFS is more chronic fatigue. So you are tired all the time, and I am. And, I've just spent the whole day in bed just so that I can do this for you today. You wouldn't think it, would you, darling? Don't I look all bright and fluffy? God bless makeup, I say. and obviously the other side of it, which is the fibromyalgia, that's more pain related. Yeah. And when I talk about pain, unless you have this, you have no idea what the pain is like, because it's muscular, it's nerve, it's joint, any single part, even hair follicles, any single part of your body inside and out is open to pain because of the problems we have with our neurosystem and our receptors. And so to get diagnosed with both, so I battle pain and fatigue 24/7 every single day. And I don't want to give too many spoilers in the book, but my nan from the spirit world did come to me and tell me to get this certain medicine that I'd never heard of. And that was the medicine that actually got me out of bed, that can allow me to communicate with you now. And it was just literally from my nan that told me to get it, my grandma. And that's allowed me to get up and function most probably about 40, 50% more. However, what people don't see in the background is that, as I said to you earlier, my darling, I'll now not do anything for the rest of the day because this will be my allotted activity time. And then tomorrow, I don't know if I'll wake up and I'll feel okay. If not, again, it will be another day in bed.
Right.
So you've got to have a good bed and a nice bedroom.
Oh.
And it's a great excuse to buy loads of wonderful pyjamas. I've got hundreds of pairs, all very nice because you're in them a lot.
The whole world
you've got to laugh.
Yes, the whole world is moving somewhat in that direction with quarantine and having to stay inside and just right. So we realize that it is not the best way to live, but you can.
Exactly. Welcome to our world. This is our world 24/7. So when people have said to me, "How does lockdown affect you?" It's no different. And you'll find, you know, when I was horrific, when I couldn't even lift my head off the pillow, and I was laying month after month, year after year, in the most agonising pain, pumping myself with morphine and God knows what painkiller, and you don't have the ability to speak or understand conversations, you just isolate, and it is like a living death. And so one of the main reasons that I believe the Angel Realms pushed me to do this book is to try and highlight our plight. You know, you have people like Lady Gaga that suffers with it, but I really would have hoped she would have like kind of detailed it more and brought more awareness about it, because at the end of the day, you have millions of sufferers in the States, and I believe even more millions undiagnosed that just think they're just generally tired, or, you know, they're getting a bit older and they're getting aches and pains. But this is kind of like a pandemic, and the problem is because we don't fit into any particular box for disability or illness. You know, it's not as well known as cancer and MS, and it's not that, you're in a wheelchair permanently because you can walk one day and then perhaps another day you can't. We're kind of left in, the spaces between how society can help us.
Right.
And I was basically given a diagnosis after a year of tests and then just told to go home. So I had nothing. And do you know, one of the biggest things, and again, girls from the US, go US, is I found a forum, and mainly they're girls from the US. There's a couple from Britain, and they were my lifeline. When I was in bed, at least I could read their comments, and I found a forum where people had similar condition to me or another chronic illness such as lupus. And rather than sit and moan about it, sometimes we did. Sometimes we said, "Isn't it rubbish?" And everybody went, "Yeah, it's very rubbish." But most of the time we kept each other going and made each other laugh because we understood each other. You know, the biggest thing I'd say to people watching this, if you know someone with this condition, learn about it, understand it, and know how to treat it, because it took me years to try and explain to my friends and my family that this has no relevance, no logic. It literally just spurts out on speed dial as one symptom after the other. So my mum would say, for instance, "Oh, you've slept for 12 hours. You should be fine now." "No, I'm not." "And if you force yourself awake, you'll sleep all night." "No, you don't, because insomnia, sleep disturbance are all part of the neuro problems that are incorporated into this condition. And so please learn about it. And I do stress that in the book, to be honest with you. Learn about it and don't judge us.
Right. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And full disclosure that I deal with it too.
Oh, really?
Yes. I do not have it to the extreme that you do and many others do, but it is unpredictable. And
Yes.
One day you're well, and another day that you are in pain. My pain is not as severe, and it is completely random. One time it'll be one part, and another time it'll be another part. So
yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's weird how it affects different parts. It's like today at the moment, part of my head here feels like someone's drilling through it. If you touch it, it feels bruised. Oh, my darling, I had no idea. Go, brave. It's fibromyalgia you have.
Mm-hmm.
Go, brave warrior. Fibro warrior. Found that though, that you haven't really got a lot of assistance. You're just given loads of painkillers and told to get on with it.
Well, and not even that. It's just because mine is not as severe as yours.
Okay, yeah.
So, but there's just the lack of understanding. It's like, you must have just trained yourself. You must have done too much. And,
absolutely right.
Too much on the go. And then there are days that I can barely drag myself out of bed, but I do, again, because it's not as severe as many others.
Yeah, there is definitely many layers. You know, there's young girls that I spoke to online during my time when I was bedbound for those 5 years. And there were ladies, like girls of 18 years old that had been permanently in their beds from like 12 years old and were on oxygen because their body was too exhausted to even breathe for them. And they've spent their whole life in bed with sunglasses on, completely alienated and isolated from the world. And my heart goes out to the people that have got it that severely. I was pretty much there in that during that time. I could just about breathe. As long as I didn't do anything, then my body kept itself alive. But if I tried to do anything, I'd collapse and I would be completely immobile. But it's amazing, you know, because even though people who may watch this will think, wow, that's awful, it was the biggest blessing of my life.
Yes,
biggest blessing of my life.
That because you got so much spiritual understanding from it, and you had your Nan come through for you and gave you the name of this wonderful remedy. It didn't heal everything by any means, but certainly helped. So yes, how did your spirit connection, your ability to reach into the other side, how did that help you?
Well, the thing is that obviously I'm a born psychic medium anyway, so I come from many generations of psychics, mediums and healers before me. You know, my brother is a full-time working medium, my sister's a healer, all of my aunties and uncles have got some form of divination going on in the evenings, whether it's tarot cards or crystal balls. So I've obviously, been aware of it. I was a police detective. So I dealt with murder victim families as a detective. I was very much looking after people that were in trauma. So I've always been someone that's helped people with trauma. So I had a big understanding of my grieving process. When the accident happened, I was so angry as everything just went. And as you read the book, it's like, how could this happen? It's like, no, seriously, it can't get any worse. And it does. And I remember hating all of these people, the spirit world, the angel realms, all of them. I convinced myself that I'd made it all up. It was a load of rubbish. Because how could someone like me, who's worked my hardest to be a spiritual ambassador, suddenly have this thrown at me? And I was most people, I have had comments before, people say, oh, well, you already believed in it. Oh, my goodness, no, I didn't. By the time I would, most for year one of having a whole year in bed, I hated them. I thought they'd forsaken me. I had no faith whatsoever. I completely closed my energy down. And I have to say, the air was blue in my bedroom because I just shouted and screamed and cried and swore at them. And I couldn't believe they'd left me in this place. And my dad came to visit me. My dad from the spirit world came to visit me in 2013 and said to me, you're going to go through the worst time of your life. I'm thinking, that sounds cool. What? I said, no, whatever. And he said, but you will come out of this. You'll live by the sea. You'll have a beautiful home and you will work completely different than you could possibly have imagined. And I was like, right, okay. And he said, but it won't start happening until 2016. So I thought, I've got another 3 years. And he goes, but then you really will get sorted in 2018. And I'm like, oh, my God, I've got another 5 years of this. And so I'm like, right, okay. And then the biggest word on top of, radiating hope and healing is surrender. Because all I did was mourn who I used to be. I used to mourn my old life. I used to mourn my success, having a home. I was sofa hopping for 8 months on friends' place, on their sofas because I had nowhere to live. And eventually I managed to get a property rented again through a love of a friend. And I eventually thought, right, I'm either going to kill myself. And I honestly was. So every day I fantasized about committing suicide to escape it all because I just felt there was no escape. And the only thing that kept me going were my two little rescue dogs that used to sit on my chest and look at me. And I thought, how could I possibly do this and leave them there with my dead body? And that's, but the fantasy was, just to end this. It was sublime. The deliciousness of thinking I could escape through death. That was the only thing that kept me mentally, I can get through today because tomorrow I'll kill myself. And I kept planning it and obviously never did it. And then I decided I'm not going to kill myself, so I need to surrender and find out if there is anything up there. Right. And if there isn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so it's going to sound really weird, but the first house I managed to rent was in a cemetery.
I love that.
You're living with the dead.
Yeah, one of the most peaceful places ever.
Do you know, it had a beautiful babbling brook that went down to the estuary in the sea. It was I had no neighbours. It was in forest land. It was absolutely what I needed as a sanctuary to keep away from the world. It wasn't haunted. Can you believe that? It wasn't haunted. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. The first few nights, I did have the lamp on. I'm going to say that. No spirit people at all. And so I remember my house darkening and the dogs were barking, and I knew that I wasn't hallucinating, it wasn't medication. And my guide walked in and said, the seraphim are now protecting you, and they're the oldest order of the angel realms. The seraphim, you most probably know, darling, so I've been watching your angel stuff as well. And I thought, wow. And then I saw these dark cloaked females coming in and surrounding the house, and then I fell to sleep. So anyway, I thought, right, well, if the seraphim are here, then they can, do some more work for me here. So it was a full moon one night, and I walked out into the middle of the cemetery, and I was naked under my robe, and I took it off just as I would be, as vulnerable, asking for help as if I'd just been born. And I said to them, I surrender. I please need your help. I can't do this anymore. I welcome you. Please come back in and help me. And the following morning, I had a food hamper. It's making me go goosey. It's like I'm telling a fictional story because I can't believe the miracles that took place. But I literally had a food hamper with toiletries and all things that would keep me going for the week. I had no idea who'd put it on the doorstep, no idea at all. And it was then that the miracles started happening. And I mean miracles where angels would visit, introduce themselves, never heard of them before. Raguel came in and said, we're going to now clear your debt. My debt cleared within a couple of days, £65,000, because he came in and sorted that out. He came in and sorted out the problems with the legal system because the solicitors didn't deal with my road accident properly. And all these angels, and my guide was coming in, and I had my spirit nan come in. She got me somewhere to live. Then Archangel Michael came in a big way when I was at Glastonbury. And basically said to me, I'm here now, I'm going to show you where you live. And I ended up in a cottage. I'm giving so many spoilers away. I ended up in a cottage on the Archangel Michael ley line that led to Glastonbury tour.
Of course you did.
Exactly. The district was Archangel Michael's All Saints Church. And I was in St Michael's district. And even now, where I live now, I didn't even realise where I live now, which is by the sea, beaches just across the road. And it's in the St Michael's district. So Michael has been a massive influence in my life, more than I could possibly imagine. Because the thing is, Christy, I think that when I was so busy before doing theatre tours and television programmes and running from here to there, I wasn't absorbing what I was actually sharing out to people. I was a very damaged girl from trauma from my past. And so I was kind of behind this armour of Nicky Alan, just as I was when I was a detective. But inside was very, very broken, very broken. And so during that 5-year time, they broke down all of my shadow self. They brought me that hope. They healed me completely from inside out. So I have no shadows. Obviously, we gain some as we go along our life path. However, the things that I held from my childhood, my dad dying and my abuse during my teenage years, and it was just taken, and it was very painful at the time because I wondered why they were taking me through these nightmares. But I realised it was to let it go and take it back out to the ether where it didn't need to be. And now I remember having a reading with someone who said to me, you're going to be a pioneer. Your first book, 'cause I've written many books, And I've been to, I haven't had the confidence to jump into the author role. And so they're all sat there on my computer. But I got a reading from someone who said, you're going to be a pioneer. You're going to be a pioneer. You're not only going to show that we're not alone on the planet and that there is hope and there is faith and it does work, but you're also going to highlight something that most people don't know about. One, obviously, the CFS and the fibromyalgia, but also the fact that no matter your belief system, your creed, your colour, whatever, we are still looked after. It's just up to you to be aware of it and reach out those hands, because they're there. Because I was kicking, dragging and screaming my way through it all, but they carried on bringing the synchronicity, the signs, the miracles, opportunities. There's absolutely no way. How could I see? One of the things is that I remember when they kept telling me, you must write your journey. I'm like, I don't think so. I was so rude to them. And they're saying, you have to write your journey. I'm not doing it. I haven't even got a column anymore, because obviously everything dried up. I've been out of the loop. For years from who I was.
Right.
And the following day, I got an email from an editor at a magazine saying, would you like to do a column? How do you have to work really hard to get a column in a magazine? And it was from nowhere. And then a couple of months later, I got a second column. And I went, right, okay, I've got a column. You want me to write this book, and I write it. And so I had no choice in the matter. And I honestly, and even though they taught me cosmic ordering, how to, receive and attract abundance in everything, relationships, material stuff, life, friends, everything, I sent out the book to publishers going, it's not going to go anywhere. And I used to say to the angel realms, it's not going anywhere. So I don't even know why you've made me do it. And then, begrudgingly, it was only about a week later, someone said, yeah, we really want to read the whole manuscript. And I'm like, goodness, the angels are right again. And so here it is.
Did you know that Radiate Wellness has a subscription-based premium content Facebook group? Think of it like the premium version of this free podcast. In this premium Facebook group, you can find great content like replays of online classes, meditations on angels, chakras, mindfulness, and more, guest speakers, mini classes, polls, plus you'll be the first to know of guests that we have scheduled for the podcast and can submit questions for them. You get all of this great content for one low monthly price, and the first month is half off. You can subscribe by going to radiatewellnesscommunity.com/shop. Click the subscriptions button and you're in. Also, while I have your attention, wherever you're listening to this free podcast, if you could just do us a couple of favors, please. One is go to hit the subscribe or follow button. Then you'll be notified of all of the episodes we have coming out each week. Also, please rate and review. It sounds really simple, but it helps us to grow our audience when people are looking for great podcasts. And when we grow our audience, we can do bigger and better things and bring you even more great guests. So please do those couple of things, and that will help us grow this audience and this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Wonderful. That is wonderful, Nicky. What an amazing story, and you were like at this, I just see you at this crossroads. You could have taken this diagnosis, this thing that was happening to you, this series of unfortunate events, as the book says, and gone down that path of woe is me, my life sucks, this is terrible, I'm going to jump off a bridge. Or you could listen to your angels and just say, okay, I'm turning this over to you.
And that is absolutely right. And this is what I see when I look on forums now and people write emails to me and write to me. They say, oh, you don't, I've had enough. And I say, I totally get it. Please listen to me. I totally get it. And so I try and give them as much as I can. But now I can say, here's the book. Just humour me and read it. Because it's about letting go and surrendering and accepting your new life. And that's what most people can't do. They stay grieving. The first stages, denial, anger. They stay in the first stages of bereavement for their old life. and they've got to cut it away. They've got to get rid of it. This is why I do guided meditations on my YouTube channel, cutting cords with Archangel Michael. I do it all the time. So now, automatically, sometimes, don't get me wrong, darling, I wake up and go, for goodness sake, I really wanted to go and walk on the beach with my friend today. Because obviously support bubbles and things. And I thought and then my body's saying no. And so I go, oh, well, then what should I do instead? I'm grateful for 3 things, and I do that and get my energy up. And then I say, what shall I do today then? Oh, fabulous. Why don't I just have a box set binge? Rather than allowing a thought to turn into an emotion to then turn into a behaviour. So the the thought, once it's there, you need to cut it and change it to reading something, putting on your favourite music, putting on your favourite TV, having a nice bath, eating chocolate, whatever floats your boat, so you can stop it going into an emotion where you're then, and then the behaviours then start, the self-destructive behaviour of what then leads from that original thought. And so that's what they taught me as well, is just stop it. Where does it get you thinking negatively? Absolutely nowhere. It's all here. Your mind is the seed of every part of your growth. And so if you allow that seed to grow in the dark, dank misery, dark forest, that's where you're going to stay. And that's what they've taught me. That's what they've taught me.
It makes me think of the movie Heal. It's a documentary, and it's a wonderful film. I don't know if you've seen it, but it follows people on these high-stakes, mysterious healing journeys and all of the various alternative things that they try. And it's a wonderful film, wonderful documentary. But part of it talks about the book Radical Remission, of these people who've had miraculous healings, and chronicles all of the things that they had done to achieve these healings. There were so many hundreds of things that they all did, but there were like 75 that they mostly did, but 9 they all did. Only 2 of them were physical. Everything else that resulted in healing was all mental, spiritual, emotional.
Oh, wow. I have to see that, because that's exactly what I'm about now. And this is obviously what, the universe and the higher powers are trying to bring to us, especially in the climate we're in at the moment, where people are being even more isolated and not used to this. And it's going to break people. And you're absolutely right. What I can't wait to watch that, because it's all about your soul. It's mind, body, soul. And then the body bit is kind of shoved away, because if you choose to be in that darkness, your body will react to that.
Absolutely.
If you choose, it's like this morning, I've got a tiny little demon that said, you've got to sit up and you've got to be all smiling, you've got to do this interview. And I went, shut up, I'm going to have sleep, I'm going to feel amazing, I'm going to really enjoy it, thank you very much. And that's what I did, and it was done.
I talk to mine too. Those negative thoughts pop in and I go, what the hell? What are you doing here? Go away, you're annoying.
Exactly. And so I ended up just sharing a video about heaven. That cheered me up. That was my distraction. So I thought, oh my God, am I going to be okay later to speak with Christian? What am I going to do? I thought, I'm going to talk about my visits to heaven when I go up and see my nan and my dad and my mum and all my family. All of them are over there, apart from a brother and sister, an auntie and an uncle. They're all up there. They didn't want to stay here very long this time round. They'd had enough. Don't blame them.
You do these wonderful videos on YouTube. That's got to be, very therapeutic, but then also just what a wonderful thing to do for the world. And that's your offering now.
Absolutely. As well as the writing, again, is in the book how the bedroom guru and me doing YouTube began. I was in the bedroom, and I think it was my dad's passing anniversary. This huge sparrowhawk had come into the bedroom, and then I heard teach, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I always know the difference between guide energy, spirit world energy, and angel energy. Angel energy is like boom, as you most probably know. It's like there's no mucking around or grey areas with the angel realms. They're like literally to teach. And I was like, again, like the right thing. I was like, really? Oh, that's really good. How am I going to teach laying in bed? I don't think so. Teach. And I'm like, no. And I said, how am I going to teach? And then my phone turned itself on, and started playing a YouTube video of something I hadn't even ever looked at, wasn't even subscribed to. And I went, oh my goodness, you are kidding me, right? You want me to go on YouTube looking like this? And you know what? I think doing that, a lot of the time I do it when I'm in bed, obviously. I have no makeup on, I haven't brushed my hair, there's no facade, and it's just me. And I think people relate to the transparency of that. And I get so many emails daily for people saying, look, keep doing what you're doing because you're saving my life. I listen to you and I think, what would Nicky do? And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm so humbled by it because we go by these awful figures, don't we? How many followers we've got and how many subscribers and all this kind of stuff. And you see all these people with millions of followers that just talk about, I don't know, giant elephants on ladders or something. And you're thinking, God, you know, I sometimes in the earlier days thought, why are you making me do this? This is embarrassing. Nobody wants to hear my stuff. But I'm reaching the people that do need to hear it. And as I say, most of the time in the morning, I have a cup of tea, I do my 3 things that I'm grateful for, have my herbal tea, turn on my essential oils that I feel that I need for the day. And then I put, at the moment, I put music on that I love, you know, whether it's angel music or healing music, have that on. And then I sit there and think, right, what am I going to be inspired to do? And then I don't have much inspiration then. So I think I'll look at my emails. And my goodness, some of the emails that people send me on, you know, things that I've dealt with on YouTube, and say, how did you know I needed to hear that today? And so I then say, right, okay, inspire me. And then bang, and then I'll do something obviously inspired from up there. And then yet again, I'll get emails from people saying, I can't believe you did that today. I needed to hear that. I've even had people that are dying. I've had lots of people with terminal illness because they've seen some of the ones about the soul journey, you know, and the spiritual journey. And I've basically been by their sides virtually as they're about to pass. And because obviously I've always dealt with that, when I was a police detective as well, always dealt with death and traumatic death and things like that. So I find strength in that environment. I can deal with the rawness of grief. And that was beyond the most humbling thing I've ever done. I had the honour for the family to allow me to be there and talk them through where their soul would go, what would happen next, and what was going to happen after they finally passed. And to me, there's no other accolade than the fact that people have entrusted their last few days of their life with me. That was incredible. And then I end up crying because I'm so humble and fun and happy.
Then you waste your time you spent putting makeup on.
I know, exactly. Honestly, I don't know if you've ever looked, but seriously, I look at myself sometimes and think, Nicky, what were you thinking? You didn't even brush your hair. You haven't even cleaned your teeth.
I've put out videos like that too. And you just go, all right, this is me, warts and all. It's authentic. And you're right. I think people do identify with that authenticity.
Absolutely right. As soon as I saw you, I warmed to you straight away because, you know, there's some people that have all the convoluted back. Is that your mum behind you?
That's Dolores Cannon. Where is she? There she is, Dolores Cannon. Do you know who that is?
No.
She is a metaphysician. Well, she was a metaphysician, passed in 2014. And
yes, I do.
I do her
oh my
work.
Goodness. I was going to say, do you know what? It's because I saw she looked familiar. And I thought, I don't know if I recognise because she...
I know.
With that photograph. Blimey.
Cute. I know people ask if it's my grandma. It's not, but yeah.
No, I know. But, you know, you're at home and it's the same as me. And these people, all these backgrounds and smoke and flashy things. I'm like, oh, goodness me, no. The thing is, we need to keep it real, you know. We get bad enough hit as it is. Anything to do with the paranormal, spirituality, heaven, angels, or anything like that, straight away people think you're a kook and they're like, oh, God, it's one of those. But no, I was a detective, for goodness sake. Do you know what I mean? I am the most open-minded skeptic going, and the only things I share with the public are things I know 100% are right because I've experienced them and they've been backed up.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like previous lives. I remember, my poor guy, I say to so many people, they must have Valium up there to deal with me. I'm telling you.
made them work overtime. You're making them work overtime.
I do. Juliana said to me back in 2003, just after I got retired from the police service, and he said to me, I'm going to give you this meditation and I'm going to introduce you to me, blah, 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 because you're going to work full-time for the spirit world. I thought, I don't think so. Hey, how they laughed. And he had me in this cave. I was in this cave, which was really weird. And I could hear and smell like the sulphur and hear the water. It was incredible, freezing cold. And it opened up and there was these cypress trees. And I walked out and he grabbed my hand and he kissed my hands, goes, I'm so glad you're here. And I said, where am I? And he said, Trastevere, Rome, 1452. And I could see my silhouette. And I knew that I was a nun, and he called me Mary. And he said, in this year, you were welcomed in the house of Mary Magdalena. We then flashed over to this beautiful courtyard with these big columns, and this church was called St. Cecilia's. And he said, you were welcomed here during that time. And he said, and this is where you resided with me. This is how I know you. And then this gentleman came in, and he said, I'm Pope Nicholas. And he said, I presided over your diocese during that time. Okay, so I'm loving all this. So I come out of the meditation, try and Google it, and I think, no, do you know what? I bought tickets to Rome. I did. I flew out to Rome because I thought, I'm not having it. I'm not going to sit here saying, oh, my guide told me I'm from 1452, Trastevere, Rome. I got into a cab and I said, take me to St. Cecilia's Church in Trastevere. And he went, see, and I thought, oh, blimey, does it exist? And I tell you now, he turned up in the courtyard with the pillars, and I just sat there and I thought, oh my goodness, I recognise all of this. And I got out and I was shaking. I was so emotional. And I walked in and there was a bust of Julianus in the church.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I found out that in 1452, the house of Mary Magdalena housed nuns for the first time in this monastery behind the church, and that before they went into the monastery, they were left in a cave for 5 weeks to find themselves before they went into the monastery. Couldn't believe it. Then I went to the Vatican and found the guide said it doesn't exist, it's not here. I said, yes, it is. Pope V is here. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Vatican, tens of thousands of people everywhere, obviously pre-COVID.
Right.
And I got angry with this guide. I felt really embarrassed because I thought, oh my God, why am I getting so emotional? And I said, oh, don't worry. He goes, it's not here, madam. It's not here. I said, don't worry, I'll find him. So I marched through all these thousands of people, find this tiny little doorway, like a cement block doorway, walk in, second crypt on the right. I am laid over this crypt, crying my eyes out. Nuns came over. I went, are you okay? Come and sit down, madam. I was so overwhelmed. And when I got myself sorted, I stood up and it was Pope V's or Pope Nicholas V's crypt. And he presided over the Diocese of Trastevere during 1452. Couldn't believe it.
Cannot make this up.
Of course, you cannot make it up. And that's one of I say it and everything, couldn't make it up. And I remember when I did a show with some people, I don't know if you've ever seen Most Haunted over there. It was kind of like the biggest commercial thing that opened up paranormal investigation over here many moons ago. And I was speaking with one of the parapsychologists there, very sceptical. And I said, how do you explain that? And he goes, oh, you fell asleep in front of a history show. So I fell in front. I said, I've known this man, Juliana, since I was a child. So what have I fallen in front of, the telly for the whole of my life with the same history channel? And this is the thing with skeptics, isn't it, darling, is that they never give you a proper answer when you're trying to say, look, this is incredible. I went to find my roots from a previous life and knew exactly where I was. How do you explain that?
Right. Well, it was
so I know.
It was Einstein who said, you can look at life in one of two ways, as though everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle.
Absolutely right. But I know what I would choose. Exactly. I know what I would choose all day long. And just the difference is it's not a choice. It's a fact that time and time and time again, It is thrown at me, literally thrown in my lap. And now I have nothing but abundance. I think, right, I need to do that next, and it happens. And it's not out of greed, for greater good. I say, right, I really need this to happen, so I want to reach people. And then they'll go, yeah, ding. And it's like having a fairy godmother with you. Because everything I say, can you help me with this? They go, yeah, there you go. And it's all there. Even silly things like, oh, my boiler blew up. And then my friend turned up and said, oh, I've got a plumber around my house at the moment. Can you come around here later? Yeah, sure. Just silly things like that as well. It just... it's so easy living in this space of abundance and always having that hope and, knowledge that you're always going to be looked after. And that is what I'm desperately trying to do with me, myself and I, or me, myself and I, Dive Psychic, is try and say to people, open, surrender, and just see what they can do, and then you tell me if anything happened or not. And if people say nothing happened, then I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's on them. They just have not, we have to have that believing. It says in the Bible, ask and ye shall receive. But what people fail to remember is that the whole phrase is ask and in the believing ye shall receive.
Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right. You couldn't have even thought of a better part of the Bible to quote, because that is all about attracting abundance, isn't it? And we use these commercial words of cosmic ordering, and I hate calling it that. But it's just, it's down to also the one thing they taught me as well, self-love, and that you believe you deserve it. And because from my traumatic years, I've been, through the beatings and everything, you kind of shown you're nothing, you're nobody. So I didn't expect anything from anybody. And I never felt that I deserved anything at all good for me. And so if I was anything good, I would literally combust it, because I couldn't handle being in a normality where things were happening well for me, because I felt I didn't deserve it. So subconsciously, I would just completely smash it to pieces. That's how damaged I really was. And it doesn't mean that, during my time prior to the accident, I was this nasty, mean medium. What it meant is that I was not doing the proper healing for my own self. And I've adopted self-love now, where, this is the thing where, going back to the YouTube videos, I can sit there and know that hundreds of people are watching me, and I really don't care, because I love myself enough to know that I've got a condition, I own it, and if you don't like it, go and look at the elephant on a cycle. It's self-love, self-worth, on top of the surrender and the hope and healing that comes with it. That's what I radiate at the moment. It's just... I just wish I could give it to so many people, because I get it in the darkness where the thing I used to absolutely hate when I was ill is I'd look on YouTube for help from somebody, and they'd be, I've got better, I've got the mysterious or the miraculous antidote for CFS, and you just think, really, shut up. Do you know what I mean? Keep it real. So I used to resent those people. And you resent people. I used to hate Facebook, seeing people on holiday with their husbands and stuff, and I was there on my own. I used to hate all that. And hate is a strong word. I don't really adopt hate now at all in my vocabulary. But now, one of the most important things I put at the end of the book is, this isn't a how to get well. This isn't a I've got the answer to everything. It is a have a look and see if you can incorporate a higher power into your life that can then help you live an abundant life, thrive rather than survive. And that's the message I hope to get across, because, my goodness, some people are in such darkness, and my heart goes out to them. My heart really does go out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That's such a beautiful message of hope, faith, and healing. And I wish you could bottle that up.
And so do I. It'd be so much easier.
It would be so much easier, but that's okay. This is what you came here to do, isn't it? And so I'm looking at your website now. Your website is nickyalan.co.uk, because if nobody can tell, you're from the UK.
I don't know how.
I love your accent. And
I'll tell you what I'll do. If I put that up there, that can show you how you spell my name, because I write in the memory of my dad, Alan.
Oh.
So that's how you spell my name, Nicky Alan, because some people do A-L-L-E-N. That's in memory of my dad, Alan. That's who I write for and work for in his memory and his energy.
Oh, I love beautiful.
No, bless him.
UK. That's beautiful. And then your YouTube channel. What is your YouTube channel, darling?
That's Nicky. YouTube is Nicky Alan, or you can type in the Bedroom Guru. Either way, you'll come up with me sitting in my bed, looking amazing and glamorous. Absolutely not.
You know what you make me think of is Yoko Ono and John Lennon doing their bed-ins.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not as cool as them. I certainly haven't got a joint going on while I do it, but because that's the other thing: alcohol, smoking, bad foods, all done. The angel realms, no, get out of your body. I'm like, okay. Not that I did drugs. Oh my goodness, I was a police officer, but you know what I mean. But yes, so YouTube is Nicky Alan, or the Bedroom Guru. Again, just put Nicky Alan for Facebook, because I'm on there as well, and all the normals, Instagram and Twitter. But I'd love for you to get me on YouTube, because I find it a really intimate connection there, because it's not as many people as Facebook. So I can have really good chats with people. And also what I love is people ask me, could you cover this subject? Could you cover that? Can you answer it? So I can answer people's questions in videos, because I found I was doing about 4 or 5 hours of emails replying, but now I can go, here's a video. Dunk. So it's also helpful in that way to help people through the videos. And that's what that's all about, spiritual education videos. And sometimes you may find me like this, doing the odd card reading as well, doing a tarot or an angel card reading when I feel up for it, but it's not very often.
Well, it is so delightful connecting with you today. I've been so looking forward to this.
Oh, darling.
Check out the book, Annie, Myself, and I, Diary of a Psychic, with Nicky Alan, A-L-A-N.
Bless your heart. You're so lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.